This is the Professor, CBMD PhD, and today's Thursday, August 7th, 2025. It is 1:12 and 48 seconds, p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and today's research, UFO military. So let's jump to it here. At 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. level land time, November 3rd, two military policemen on routine patrol at the White Sands Missile Range reported an egg-shaped UFO which descended over the base. A report on this case and a similar sighting next evening was issued to the press November 4th by First Lieutenant Miles F. Kenny, commanding officer at the Stallion Site Camp, north of the base headquarters. Captain Glenn H. Choi and James Wilbanks, patrolling in a jeep, noticed a very bright object high in the sky. The object descended to a point about 50 yards above, a bunker, which was used during the first atomic BOMB explosion. Then its light blinked out. A few minutes later the light flared up again, becoming bright like the sun, dropped toward the ground on a slant, about 3 miles away and disappeared. According to Lieutenant Penny, the MPs described the UFO as egg-shaped and about 75 to 100 yards in diameter. A search party later was unable to find any trace of the object. On November 5th, in an open session with Public Information Officer William Haggard and newsmen reported by International News Service, Choi stated it looked like a completely controlled landing. That evening about 8 p.m., SP-3C Forest, R. Oaks, and SP-3C Barlow, on another two-man Jeep patrol, reported seeing an unidentified light hanging above the old ABOMB bunker. Oaks described it as 200 to 300 feet long, very bright. The patrol was about 2 to 3 miles west of the bunker. As the MPs watched, the UFO took off climbing at a 45-degree angle, its light pulsating on and off, moving slowly, sometimes stopping. The UFO gradually diminished to a point of light, like a big star, and finally disappeared. About 17 hours after the second Jeep patrol sighting at White Sands, James Stokes, a high-altitude research engineer at the base, watched an elliptical UFO maneuver over the area. While driving toward El Paso, Texas on Highway 1154 near Algandi, NM at the southeast corner of the proving grounds, about 15 miles from the Missile Test Center, Stokes began experiencing motor trouble. As the motor failed and he coasted to a stop, he noticed other cars ahead of him stopped on the roadside with people looking up and pointing to the sky. Climbing out of his car, Stokes also looked up and saw a large whitish egg-shaped object moving in and out of clouds to the northeast in the direction of the Sacramento Mountains. The UFO made a shallow dive, turned and crossed the highway a few miles ahead. As the UFO flashed by, Stokes felt a wave of heat. His face later appeared sunburned. Moving at fantastic speed, the featureless object turned sharply and disappeared over the Oregon Pass west of the base. In a taped interview broadcast on a station called, Stokes estimated the speed at 2,500 miles per hour. It was definitely a solid object, he said, declining to speculate on what the object was. Stokes said, I just hope we are ready for whatever it is. Next day, sightings reached a peak with numerous reports from all over the country. Included was a radar visual sighting by the Coast Guard cutter Sebago, south of New Orleans. Stories of alleged encounters with spacemen began to be reported, including a claim by a grain salesman in Nebraska who said he had met German-speaking beings in a landed spaceship. On the 6th, a similar report came from Dante, Tennessee, where a young boy reported a landed spaceship at 6:30 a.m. Human-like figures were walking near the ship, he said, and their voices sounded like German, which he had heard on television. About the same time, a few reports of little men associated with landed craft also began to circulate, and ICAP was unable to investigate the Tennessee report sufficiently to pass judgment on it. A more thoroughly investigated case without the spacemen aspect occurred on the night of the 6th. The case also includes the implication of high-level knowledge of UFOs, which is kept secret from the public. This video was created for educational purposes only. Codename Will, Professor Christopher Brunet, leader of research, scientist, ufologist, psychic, computer programmer, computer technician, philanthropist, writer, mathematician, artist, photographer, film producer, chef, animal, and nature lover. Passion, world peace. Hope you enjoyed listening. Until next time, Have an excellent day.